Bangladesh, officially the People's Republic of Bangladesh, is a country in South Asia. It is the 8th most populous country in the world, and is among the most densely populated countries with a population of nearly 170 million and an area of 148,460 square kilometers. Bangladesh shares land borders with India to the north, west and east and Myanmar to the southeast. To the south, it has a coastline along the Bay of Bengal. It is narrowly separated from Bhutan and Nepal by the Siliguri Corridor and from China by the mountainous Indian state of Sikkim in the north. Dhaka, the capital and largest city, is the nation's political, financial, and cultural center. Chittagong, the second largest city, is the busiest port on the Bay of Bengal. Khulna, Rajshahi, and Sylhet are other major cities. The official language of Bangladesh is Bengali. Bangladesh forms the sovereign part of the historic and ethno-linguistic region of Bengal, which was divided during the partition of India in 1947 as part of majority Muslim Pakistan, which it gained independence from in 1971. The country has a Bengali Muslim majority. Ancient Bengal was known as Gangaridai and was a bastion of per-Islamic kingdoms. Muslim conquests after 1204 heralded the Sultanate and Mughal periods, during which an independent Bengal Sultanate and a wealthy Mughal Bengal transformed the region into an important center of regional affairs, trade, and diplomacy. After 1757, Bengal's administrative jurisdiction reached its greatest extent under the Bengal Presidency of the British Empire. The creation of Eastern Bengal and Assam in 1905 set a precedent for the emergence of Bangladesh. In 1940, the first Prime Minister of Bengal, A.K. Fazl-ul-Huq, supported the Lahore Resolution. Before the partition of Bengal, a Bengali sovereign state was first proposed by Premier H.S. Showroom. A referendum and the announcement of the Radcliffe Line established the present-day territorial boundary. In 1947, East Bengal became the most populous province in the Dominion of Pakistan. It was renamed as East Pakistan, with Dhaka becoming the country's legislative capital. The Bengali language movement in 1952, the East Bengali legislative election, 1954, the 1958 Pakistani coup d'etat, the Six-Point Movement of 1966, and the 1970 Pakistani general election resulted in the rise of Bengali nationalism and pro-democracy movements. The refusal of the Pakistani military junta to transfer power to the Awami League, led by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, led to the Bangladesh Liberation War in 1971. The Mukti Bahini, aided by India, waged a successful armed revolution. The conflict saw the Bangladesh genocide and the massacre of pro-independence Bengali civilians, including intellectuals. The new state of Bangladesh became the first constitutionally secular state in South Asia in 1972. Islam was declared the state religion in 1988. In 2010, the Bangladesh Supreme Court reaffirmed secular principles in the constitution. Stone Age tools have been found in different parts of Bangladesh. Remnants of Copper Age settlements date back 4,000 years. Ancient Bengal was settled by Austroasiatics, Tibeto-Burmans, Dravidians, and Indo-Aryans in consecutive waves of migration. Archaeological evidence confirms that by the 2nd millennium BCE, rice-cultivating communities inhabited the region. By the 11th century, people lived in systemically aligned housing, buried their dead, and manufactured copper ornaments and black and red pottery. The Ganges, Brahmaputra, and Meghna rivers were natural arteries for communication and transportation, and estuaries on the Bay of Bengal permitted maritime trade. The early Iron Age saw the development of metal weaponry, coinage, agriculture, and irrigation. Major urban settlements formed during the late Iron Age, in the mid-1st millennium BCE, when the northern black polished where culture developed. In 1879, Alexander Cunningham identified Mahastangar as the capital of the Pundra kingdom mentioned in the Rig Veda. The oldest inscription in Bangladesh was found in Mahastangar and dates from the 3rd century BCE, written in the Brahmi script. Greek and Roman records of the ancient Gangaridai kingdom, which deterred the invasion of Alexander the Great, are linked to the fort city in Wari Bateshwar. The site is also identified with the prosperous trading center of Suanagura listed on Ptolemy's world map. Roman geographers noted a large seaport in southeastern Bengal, corresponding to the present-day Chittagong region. Ancient Buddhist and Hindu states which ruled Bangladesh included the Vanga, Samatata, and Pundra kingdoms, the Mauryan and Gupta empires, the Varman dynasty, Shashanka's kingdom, the Khadga and Kandra dynasties, the Pala Empire, the Sena dynasty, the Harakila kingdom, and the Deva dynasty. These states had well-developed currencies, banking, shipping, architecture, and art, and the ancient universities of Baikrampur and Mainamati hosted scholars from other parts of Asia. Gopala I was the first ever elected ruler of the region in 750 AD. He went on to form the Pala dynasty that ruled until 1161 AD, during which time Bengal prospered. Xuanzan of China was a noted scholar who resided at the Somapura Mahavira, and Atissa traveled from Bengal to Tibet to preach Buddhism. The earliest form of the Bengali language emerged during the 8th century. Seafarers in the Bay of Bengal sailed and traded with Southeast Asia and exported Buddhist and Hindu cultures to the region since the early Christian era. On June 3, 1947, the Mountbatten Plan outlined the partition of British India. On July 6, the Sylhet region of Assam voted in a referendum to join East Bengal. Cyril Radcliffe was tasked with drawing the borders of Pakistan and India, and the Radcliffe Line established the boundaries of present-day Bangladesh. The Radcliffe Line awarded 2/3 of Bengal as the eastern wing of Pakistan, but the medieval and early modern Bengali capitals of Gaur, Panjwar, and Murshidabad fell on the Indian side close to the border with Pakistan. The Dominion of Pakistan was created on August 14, 1947. East Bengal, with Dhaka as its capital, was the most populous province of the 1947 Pakistani Federation. Khawaja Nazimuddin was East Bengal's first chief minister, with Frederick Chalmers born its governor. The All-Pakistan Awami Muslim League was formed in 1949. In 1950, the East Bengal Legislative Assembly enacted land reform, abolishing the permanent settlement and the zamindari system. The 1952 Bengali language movement was the first sign of friction between the country's geographically separated wings. The Awami Muslim League was renamed the more secular Awami League in 1953. The first constituent assembly was dissolved in 1954. The United Front Coalition swept aside the Muslim League in a landslide victory in the 1954 East Bengali legislative election. The following year, East Bengal was renamed East Pakistan as part of the One Unit Programmer, and the province became a vital part of the Southeast Asia Treaty Organization. Pakistan adopted a new constitution in 1956. The Pakistan Army imposed military rule in 1958, and Ayub Khan was the country's strongman for 11 years. Political repression increased after the coup. Khan introduced a new constitution in 1962, replacing Pakistan's parliamentary system with a presidential and gubernatorial system known as basic democracy. In 1962, Dhaka became the seat of the National Assembly of Pakistan, a move seen as appeasing increased Bengali nationalism. The Pakistani government built the controversial Kaptai Dam, displacing the Chakma people from their indigenous homeland in the Chittagong Hill Tracts. The Indo-Pakistani War of 1965 blocked cross-border transport links with neighboring India in what is described as a second partition. In 1966, Awami League leader Sheikh Mujibur Rahman announced a 6-point movement for a federal parliamentary democracy. According to senior World Bank officials, the Pakistani government practiced extensively economic discrimination against East Pakistan. Despite generating 70% of Pakistan's export revenue with jute and tea, East Pakistan received much less government spending than West Pakistan. Economists in East Pakistan, including Raymond Sabhan and Nurul Islam among others, demanded a separate foreign exchange account for the eastern wing. The economists paraphrased Pakistan's two-nation theory ideology against India by pointing to the existence of two different economies with Pakistan itself, dubbed the two economies theory. The central government also refused to release foreign aid allocated for East Pakistan. The populist leader Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was arrested for treason in the Abrutla conspiracy case and was released during the 1969 uprising in East Pakistan, which resulted in Ayub Khan's resignation. General Yahya Khan assumed power, reintroducing martial law. In early 1971, negotiations began on the transfer of power. The Awami League wanted to develop a constitution based on its 6 points agenda. This was opposed by the Pakistani military, the Pakistan People's Party, and the Muslim League factions. Talks eventually broke down as the junta led by Yahya Khan prepared for a military operation in East Pakistan. The Bengali population was angered when the newly elected National Assembly was not convened under pressure from the junta and West Pakistani politicians. Despite enjoying an absolute majority in the newly elected parliament, Prime Minister-elect Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was prevented from taking the oath. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto threatened to break the legs of West Pakistani MPs if they flew to Dhaka for the first session of parliament. Civil disobedience erupted across East Pakistan, with loud calls for independence. Mujib addressed a pro-independence rally of nearly 2 million people on March 7, 1971, where he said, "This time the struggle is for our liberation. This time the struggle is for our independence." The flag of Bangladesh was raised for the first time on March 23, Pakistan's Republic Day. Around midnight on March 26, 1971, military operations under the code name of Operation Searchlight began. The first targets were the student dormitories of Dhaka University, the police barracks in Dhaka's Rajarbag locality, and Hindu neighborhoods in Old Dhaka. The Pakistan Army arrested Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and flew him to a jail in West Pakistan. The army burned down the Ittifaq newspaper's office. Before his arrest, Mujib proclaimed the independence of Bangladesh. Pakistani forces launched a widespread campaign of killings, torture, rape, arson, and destruction across East Pakistan, targeting segments of the population perceived to be pro-Awami League and pro-independence. The Hindu minority was distinctly targeted because of Pakistan's hostility with neighboring Hindu-majority India. During the Bangladesh Liberation War, the Mukti Bahini emerged as the Bengali resistance force. A highly successful guerrilla war was fought against Pakistan. Bengalis continued to defect from Pakistan's diplomatic service, military, police, and bureaucracy. In April, they helped Awami League leaders to set up the Provisional Government of Bangladesh, which operated in exile from Calcutta with the support of the Indian government until December 1971. The Bangladesh Armed Forces was formally established in November 1971, when Bengali forces secured control of much of the countryside. The Mukti Bahini forced the railway network to shut down to stop Pakistani troop movements. Some of the notable operations of the Mukti Bahini included Operation Jackpot and Operation Barasol. In January 1975, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman introduced one-party socialist rule under Baxil. Rahman banned all newspapers except 4 state-owned publications and amended the constitution to increase his power. He was assassinated during a coup on August 15, 1975, and the presidency passed to the usurper Khandekar Mostak Ahmad for 4 months. Ahmad is widely regarded as a traitor by Bangladeshis. Tajuddin Ahmad, the nation's first prime minister, and 4 other independence leaders were assassinated on November 4, 1975. Chief Justice Abu Sadat Muhammad Sayam was installed as president by the military on November 6, 1975. Bangladesh was governed by a military junta led by the chief martial law administrator for 3 years. In 1977, the army chief Ziaur Rahman became president. Rahman reinstated multi-party politics, privatized industries and newspapers, reopened the Dhaka Stock Exchange, established BEPSA, and held the country's second general election in 1979. In 1978, 200,000 Arakanese Muslim refugees crossed the Naf River into Bangladesh due to a Burmese military crackdown. The refugees were later repatriated. A semi-presidential system evolved, with the Bangladesh Nationalist Party governing until 1982. Rahman was assassinated in 1981 and was succeeded by Vice President Abdus Sattar. Bangladesh is in South Asia on the Bay of Bengal. It is surrounded almost entirely by neighboring India, and shares a small border with Myanmar to its southeast, though it lies very close to Nepal, Bhutan, and China. The country is divided into 3 regions. Most of the country is dominated by the fertile Ganges Delta, the largest river delta in the world. The northwest and central parts of the country are formed by the Madhupur and the barren plateaus. The northeast and southeast are home to evergreen hill ranges. The Ganges Delta is formed by the confluence of the Ganges, Brahmaputra, and Meghna rivers and their tributaries. The Ganges unites with the Jamuna and later join the Meghna, finally flowing into the Bay of Bengal. Bangladesh is called the Land of Rivers, as it is home to over 57 transboundary rivers, the most of any nation-state. Water issues are hence politically complicated since the country is a lower riparian state to India. Bangladesh is divided into 8 administrative divisions, each named after their respective divisional headquarters: Barisal, Chittagong, Dhaka, Khulna, Mymensingh, Rajshahi, Rangpa, and Sylhet. Divisions are subdivided into districts. There are 64 districts in Bangladesh, each further subdivided into Upjala or Thana. The area within each police station, except for those in metropolitan areas, is divided into several unions, with each union consisting of multiple villages. The official and predominant language of Bangladesh is Bengali, which is spoken by more than 98% of the population as their native language. Bengali is described as a dialect continuum where there are various dialects spoken throughout the country. There is a diglossia in which much of the population can understand or speak standard colloquial Bengali in their regional dialects. These include Chittagonian or Sylheti, though some linguists consider them as separate languages. Pahila Baishak, the Bengali New Year, is the major festival of Bengali culture and sees widespread festivities. Out of the major holidays celebrated in Bangladesh, only Pahila Baishak comes without any pre-existing expectations and has become an occasion for celebrating the simpler rural roots of Bengal. Other cultural festivals include Nabano and Paush Parban, Bengali harvest festivals. The Muslim festivals of Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha, Mawlid, Muharram, Chand Rat, Shab-e Barat. The Hindu festivals of Durga Puja, Janmashtami, and Rath Yatra. The Buddhist festival of Buddha Purnima, which marks the birth of Gautama Buddha. And the Christian festival of Christmas are national holidays in Bangladesh and see the most widespread celebrations in the country. The 2 Eids are celebrated with a long streak of public holidays and allow celebrating the festivals with their families outside the city.